In this video, we're going to show you to install the fuel sending unit on your Subaru Legacy located underneath the driver's side rear seat. Before tackling this job, you want to make sure you're working in a clean, well-ventilated area because you are going to exposing fuel vapors, so you want to make sure that you are safe. You want the hood open? You want to go ahead and locate the fuse box here on the driver's side portion of the fender. You want to go ahead and open this up. There's going to be two tabs, one on the front, one on the side, pinch and pull, and then you're going to flip this over. Now you can go ahead and look at this here, and you want to go ahead and locate the fuel pump fuse, which is this one here on the lower portion. If you look at this box right here, it's going to be the 15 amp fuse right on the end. I'm going to use a pair of needle nose pliers to gently pinch and pull. And then we're going to set that aside. Now you want to hop into the vehicle. You want to go ahead and crank that engine up. You want to start it. If the engine starts, it's going to die fairly quickly because there's no fuel being pushed into the engine. But doing this actually purges the fuel, so it removes that high pressure from the fuel lines. And then we go ahead and open up that fuel pump. After we started the engine, we let it run for a second and it died out. We're going to go ahead and install our fuse, push that back into place, and install that cover. Our next step, go ahead and disconnect the ground terminal from our battery. Locate the battery on the driver's side of the engine compartment. We're going to use a 10mm socket to loosen the cable on the ground terminal. Okay, give that a little wiggle, twist it up, and set it aside. Now, in the back seat of the vehicle, we do have our two front seats all the way forward, so we have room to work. Now, on the front of both the passenger side and the driver's side rear seat, down underneath, there's going to be two latches. So you're going to reach down and just gently pull up. Then at that point, we can slide that seat, pull out our seat belts, and remove that seat bottom. Now, on the driver's side here, we have this cover we need to remove. We're simply going to use our Phillips head screwdriver to loosen and remove all of the screws holding this cover in place. We will be reusing these screws, so hold on to those. Now this cover will normally have a seal on it, and it's definitely there, but you can go ahead and pull that up. I'm going to go ahead and work this boot inward. And there's just a seal that you can kind of roll that in. This is going to give you access to the top of the fuel pump assembly. Our next step is to go ahead and disconnect the electrical connector going to the top of the pump. Now there's a little tab right here. You can push down on this tab right here and disconnect that. I'm going to use my little trim tool here and press on the forward side of that and just kind of work that out. Super easy. And to give us a little more flexibility here, this wire harness comes down to a little plastic retainer. We're going to use our trim tool. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up and out. Much better. The top area here, I want to make sure this is clean for us to start working on. So I'm going to go ahead and take some spray solvent. Going to clean all of this and then use some compressed air to blow it all out. Watch your eyes, wear eye protection. The reason why we do this here, when we do open this up, we don't want debris to fall down inside of the tank. Now this bracket right here has two 8mm bolts. I'm going to use my 8mm socket extension and my 1/4 inch ratchet to go ahead, loosen and remove these two. Now, when working with fuel systems, it's always best to not use power tools. We want to try and prevent any sparks from going on, any electric motor driven components. And pull this off. Actually, I'm going to put that on the side with the 2 bolts I just removed. Now we have 2 connections here. We now want to go ahead and separate those. And what I'm doing is I'm using my hose pliers here to pinch the plastic tabs, just little slots on either side here. If you pinch that, you can slide this off. Now you want to be careful. There should not be any fuel pressure left in this here, but there may be fuel in the line. So I'm going to go ahead and put my rag over this, and I'm going to pull this apart. There's a little bit there. Nothing crazy, but there is a little bit, so try to wipe that up and tuck that line off to the side. And do the same for this one right here. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove the other bolts or actual nuts right here. Don't lose these. We will be reusing these later. Now we have to remove the other nuts. There's going to be a couple more underneath these rubber capped nuts here. So I'm going to use my pliers, just gently pinch and pull these rubber protective caps off. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove the 2 last nuts here. Now, most of the time, these fuel pumps are spring-loaded, so you might have a little bit of upward pressure on this. Now, before we remove everything, take note of the position of the fuel pump assembly itself, as well as the lock ring on the top. We have the connector facing diagonal back towards the driver's wheel. This connector here facing towards the passenger front seat. And then there's a little round port right here, or a notch for this fuel pump. It actually lines up with the fuel line right here. Now, before we pop off the lock ring, use your 10mm socket, loosen and remove this anchoring bolt right here that holds this fuel line right here. And hold on to this. You guessed it. We'll be using that later. Now we have a catch can on the side. You can see we have a towel here. We actually, this is an absorbent mat, and we rolled it around our carpet because we're going to be pulling this up and out. There is going to be dripping fuel out of it, and then we want to put it into our catch can on the side. Pull up on that lock ring here. There is a gasket on this. Want to make sure that that is in good condition. And ours is. So go ahead and set that aside. All right, let's pull up on this unit here. And twist that up to the side. Pull that out. Now you want to take this unit, and we're going to lower our sending unit into the tank first. And then we can go ahead and push our screen in there. Lower this down into the tank. Let's go ahead and grab our lock ring here. Get this in a position. We do want to make sure that our O-ring seal here is installed properly. Now as you put the lock ring down, the little button here on the top of our sender will line up. And at this point, we can go ahead and start to install the nuts. I'm just going to get 2 of these on there for now. Run those down as far as I can by hand. That'll hold everything in place. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and install the other 4, and then we'll snug those down. And we're going to snug these down in a crisscross pattern. Just bottom it out. Back to the first one just to double check. All right, just bottom it out. Just give it a little bit more. Make it snug. Bottomed out. Snug. We're just going to continue this. Now if you have your black little caps here, pop those into place. And then repeat for the other one. Install that 10mm bolt for that fuel line. All right, once that's bottomed out, snug it down. Now let's go ahead and take that fuel line. We're going to line that up. Now you want to make sure that this little plastic clip here has little tabs on it. Those tabs have to line up with the notches on the fuel line itself. Line that up, push it on. You're going to hear it engage and you're going to feel it lock on. You're going to do the same for this one over here. Okay, that's locked in. Go ahead and grab that electrical connector, line that up, and push that on. You're going to hear it and feel that lock in. Now it's safe to go ahead and remove our drip towel there. Now at this point here, we can go ahead and install our bracket. Then we can go ahead and snug those down. It's bottomed out. Snug it a little bit. Do the same here. Bottomed out. Snug. Let's go ahead and slide your cover on over. What I like to do with these here is I like to push them through. It's easier to pull it through the other side kind of to get that to seal up. Here it is. Okay, line this up and get our screws started. snug down our cover. And then don't forget to push that little retainer button back into the floor. Now let's go ahead and clean out the back of the car and install our back seat. Now we're going to feed our back seat into position. Now on the back there's going to be a metal loop right here, and it has to hook down into the bottom. There's a metal hook down below here on the floor pan. Now as we lower this down, we also need to get our seat belts pulled up through. So let's go ahead and push the seat back, get that close to that hook, and we're going to pull our seat belts through the seat. Should get it to the point where we can get the front latches in. Snap that down. Go ahead and slide that on. And go ahead and snug this down. Now when tightening this down, you want to make sure that it's good and snug, but don't over tighten it as you can break the clamp. So you're going to bottom it out. Go ahead and give that a wiggle. We're nice and solid. You're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.